You're listening to Locked On Now NHL, local experts on the biggest stories on the ice. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. On today's show, a full slate of games across the league. Our Locked On NHL hosts are here to break down all the biggest games and the hottest starts to the season on Locked On Now. Let's start with Thursday's biggest game.
The biggest game.
Hockey isn't fair, this we know. Everyone that knows the game understands that, but that doesn't mean the Boston Bruins should have faced off against two undefeated teams back-to-back games. Boston lost by 3 to the Florida Panthers on Tuesday, and they lost to Carolina as well on Thursday. Locked On Bruins is trying to put the pieces back together.
What is up, everybody? This is Ian McLaren of Locked On Boston Bruins asking, where have the goals gone? The Boston Bruins were shut out by the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 3-0 on Thursday night. It's the second straight game that they have gone without having a goal scored off their own sticks, as the lone goal in the Florida Panthers game last night came off of a Florida Panthers player. The Bruins did manage to record 33 shots on goal compared to 24 for the Hurricanes, but Frederik Andersen made his first shutout for the Hurricanes, stopping all 33 shots. Jeremy Swayman with 21 saves on 23 shots. The Bruins had multiple opportunities to get back in the game in the third period, including a lengthy 5-on-3 opportunity. Taylor Hall, in particular, missed a pretty wide open net on a nice pass from Brad Marchand on the power play. And he was later replaced as the extra skater with a extra man out in favor of Jake DeBrusk, who had a pretty strong game, leading the team with 5 shots on goal. So the Bruins shut out by the Hurricanes. They will now prepare for a home game on Saturday against the Florida Panthers, before which Jimmy Hayes will be honored. And the Panthers reportedly will have a new head coach for that one. So the Bruins now 3-3 on the season, having lost their past 2 games. And they'll try to regroup back on home ice on Saturday. This is Ian McLaren, host of Locked On Boston Bruins. Be sure to subscribe and catch tomorrow's.
The hot and cold Avalanche hand the Blues their first loss of the season. Locked On Avalanche breaks down the road victory and how Colorado put everything together on Thursday night.
Colorado Avalanche with a very big 4-3 win in St. Louis. Avalanche get back into the win column while handing the St. Louis Blues their first loss in the loss column. Very big game. The Avs, it's no secret, they've been up and down with their play all season long, but they had to bring their A game for this one. Going into St. Louis, they're on top of the division. You got to close that gap, and that's exactly what they did. It got very interesting. Tarasenko with a late goal in the third to pull them within 1 to 4-3, but the Avs clamped down, and time runs out, and the Avs get 2 big points. Lots of physicality in this game. There is no love lost between the Blues and the Avalanche, and it goes back to the Nazem Kadri hit last year in the playoffs. They are not going to back down, and neither of these teams are going to back down. So this is going to be an exciting series to watch throughout the season. But this was more of what we've come to expect from the Avalanche. 42 shots on goal for the Avs, while only surrendering 18. That's their lowest of the season that they've surrendered by a long shot. Most of the time, they're giving up about 30 shots on goal a game. This hopefully shows that their defense is starting to gel, and maybe can get another run like they did last year of holding teams under 20 shots on goal. Overall, a very good game for the Avs. It's one that you can definitely build on, and one that you would have to think that, okay, maybe they're finally starting to find their groove. And this was even without Mikko Rantanen, who was a late scratch in the game, got hurt in practice in the morning. Don't know the severity of that and how long it's going to be, but he wasn't there, and the Avs seemed to be just okay without him there. But clearly, you'd love to have him back. But for now, big 2 points for the Avs.
The Kraken hope to pick up their second win in their new Seattle home after taking a 2-1 lead over the Wild in the final period. The newest NHL team has its first franchise winning streak after closing the door on Minnesota. Locked On Wild breaks down the disappointing loss.
Hey everybody, Seth Topol, host of Locked On Wild here, recapping the Minnesota Wild's 4-1 loss to the Seattle Kraken here tonight. The Wild get the first goal of the game courtesy of Ryan Hartman. They had a goal by Marcus Foligno waved off the board because of a kick, which was more so just Foligno stopping his skate. The Wild go 20 minutes of ice time and manage to put up 3 or 4 shots in that time. And just generally looked lifeless through a good majority of the game here tonight. Some areas of concern for this Wild team. The penalties just continue to mount and pile up for this team. The penalty kill was good tonight, but you can't be asked to stop 5 or 6 penalties a night, and that is the low end of what the Wild are getting on a nightly basis right now. And Kirill Kaprizov, again, is just an absolute sidekick to this Wild team. He did have an assist tonight, but just completely disappears, and so this is becoming a major problem for this Wild team. We'll try to get to the bottom of it as we go here over the next couple of days, but a rough loss for the Wild to the Kraken, now 5-2 on the season, with Seattle coming up on Saturday. If you want more information on the Minnesota Wild as the season progresses, make sure to follow Locked On Wild.
Coming up, our Locked On NHL hosts help us wrap up our look across the league on a packed night of games here on Locked On Now. Welcome back to Locked On Now. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Now let's turn again to our Locked On NHL hosts for a recap of the rest of the action across the NHL on Thursday.
Let's go around the league.
The Calgary Flames offense has hit another level to start the season. Calgary is now on a 5-game win streak. They've scored at least 4 goals in every single win. That includes a 4-0 victory over the Penguins on Thursday. Locked On Flames has that full story and all the names you need to know on a packed stat sheet.
Hello everybody, and it's your girl Jess from Locked On Flames, and the Flames just shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-0. Another shutout for Jacob Markstrom, who was absolutely fantastic tonight. 41 shots saved, absolutely phenomenal. Johnny Gaudreau got his first goal of the season, and it's really great for him to get that monkey off his back and start sliding into the groove of things as if he needed anything else. He's had a fantastic season so far, but it's good to get him going offensively. Dylan Dubé scored. Blake Coleman avoids the narrative of what's the biggest acquisition coming in and not doing, with another goal, and Milan Lucic scored as well. Looked like a fantastic game tonight, and they look to make a clean sweep of this road trip in the city of brotherly love, and potentially Johnny Gaudreau's next stop after this offseason. So we'll see. Catch me tomorrow on Locked On Flames, wherever you get your podcasts.
The Canadiens took out some frustrations on the Sharks in San Jose Thursday. They racked up a big 3-0 lead early in this game, and that would hold out for the win as the Canadiens finally get off that skid there and get a big win over San Jose.
The San Jose curse is finally broken. Hey everyone, my name is Laura Saba. I'm from Locked On Canadiens, and Jake Allen has stolen a game for the Montreal Canadiens, making 45 saves for their first win in San Jose in 22 years. You heard that right, 22 years. The team as a whole gave up a lot of shots, they gave up a lot of chances, and they gave up a lot of scoring chances. They will need to tighten their defense up. However, Jake Allen really came to play tonight and gave the team a chance. What they're going to need to work on now is their defense, because they need to be able to transition out of their zone and get into the opponent's zone. They scored some very good goals, but the lack of defense is what is highlighting this team since the beginning of the season that will really need to get better. For more on the Canadiens, please check out Locked On Canadiens with myself and my co-host Scott Matlow. We're available wherever you get your podcasts.
It's gotten ugly for the Coyotes. This new look Arizona team is now 7 games into the season, but they haven't gotten a win. And the losses are not getting any prettier either after giving up the first 4 goals in a 5-1 loss to Tampa Bay last night. Nowhere to go but up, I guess. Here's Locked On Coyotes.
The Arizona Coyotes' start to their season remains winless as they have dropped yet another game on their road trip. This one a 5-1 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was not a surprising result, as we've been talking about. The Coyotes have not been playing well this season and have, just don't have the talent to go up against a defending Stanley Cup champion. Not to mention, you put in goaltender Ivan Prosvetov, who I've touted to be the future of the Coyotes goaltending, but when you put little help in front of him, after literally just getting called up from the Tucson Roadrunners earlier this week to replace an injured Carter Hutton, that is not a productive way to harbor the development of the future goaltender. If this is the way the Coyotes are going to be playing, send Prosvetov back down to Tucson, because it just won't help either team in this case. So send Prosvetov down, bring up Kozhinosh back up, and give just more touches to Kirill Vrejmelka, who has been having a decent couple games. So we'll see what he can do on that case. But the Coyotes have another game. They got a back-to-back. Tomorrow they will be on the road still, continuing their road trip in D.C. to play the Washington Capitals. We'll talk about that game as well as break down this loss on the next episode of Locked On Coyotes podcast. So be sure to follow us at LO_Coyotes and wherever you get your podcasts.
That's a wrap for us. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every day. For more in the National Hockey League and your team, make your second listens Locked On NHL and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens, and this has been Locked On Now.